Very Bad Wizards is a podcast with a philosopher, my dad, and a psychologist, Dave Pizarro, having an informal discussion about issues in science and ethics. Please note that the discussion contains bad words that I'm not allowed to say, and knowing my dad, some very inappropriate jokes.
Wait a minute, what? Did you steal it?
What did he steal?
He stole his beat was stolen.
Oh my God.
The Great Boss has spoken. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Who are you? Who are you? A very bad man.
I'm a very good man. Good man. They think deep thoughts, and with no more brains than you have. Pay no attention to that man. Anybody can have a brain.
You're a very bad man.
I'm a very good man. Just a very bad wizard.
Welcome to Very Bad Wizards. I'm Tamler Summers from the University of Houston. Dave, another year, another series of snubs in the year's best podcasts articles. Who do we have to blow to get noticed by the corporate media?
Getting noticed by the corporate media should never be on your list of desires. You know, my only thought about that is there just is no centralized authoritative like academy for the podcasts, or we would totally get awarded, right? Like,
Yeah, no, exactly. Like if there was some sort of centralized, institutionalized system of handing out, like funniest while also being really insightful, irreverent, but in a good way kind of awards sometimes.
No, you know, here I always listen to the wisdom of Fife Dog of A Tribe Called Quest when he said, "I'll never let a statue tell me how nice I am," which is just to say they never won any Grammys, but they're legendary. Legends. So fuck all of those people. Fuck them all until they give us an award, in which case I will say, oh, I wanted this the whole time.
We've been working our way towards this our entire careers.
The real awards are our listeners sending us emails telling us.
The friends we made along the way.
The friends we made along the way.
I'm glad. I was actually worried as I was coming up with that question that you were just going to answer Anderson Cooper.
Wait, what?
Like that's who we have to blow.
Oh, hey man. If I had to blow a guy, he's not in my bottom percentile.
Right.
But I'd like to take a moment to announce, Tamler, I have the annual David Pizarro Podcast Awards, and you have won for Best Co-Host. How's that? Here you go.
Wow. I'm very honored. And, it wouldn't have been possible without my co-host who didn't win this year. But
hey,
David
it's always
Pizarro.
a new year. It's always next year. I did win the pennant though in my National League.
It's embarrassing to not even win your own award.
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you, but I've won the last 8 years in a row.
Today, we're going to talk about something much more sincere, a piece of wisdom that our listeners have requested over the last few years. David Foster Wallace's "This Is Water," the commencement speech that he gave in 2005 to Kenyon College students.
It was in the latest round of suggestions, right? Is that what made you remember?
Yeah. Because our podcast has been, hasn't been bro-y enough. So we have to listen to David Foster Wallace.
Yeah, but before that, Tamler, have you ever wanted to know what the morally right answer to all of your questions is?
Yeah, but I just never knew if there was an objective way to attain that information because human beings are so biased and trapped in their own perspectives.
Computers for the win. We don't need regular intelligence. We need the fake kind. So the first segment we're gonna talk about the Oracle Ask Delphi, which is basically an ethical answer engine built by machine learning. So Ask Delphi is a group of researchers who have a website that has an interface for this advice generating algorithm, I guess. But the algorithm has been trained up by, importantly, I think and the developers make a note of this. It's questions that are taken from Reddit. And I think at least originally they were all taken from the Am I the Asshole subreddit.
Right.
Yeah. But not the answers. They didn't call the answers. So they took a bunch of those questions and they gave it to paid participants using Mechanical Turk. And so through some magic of machine learning, they have it generalize, and it is able to answer queries about the rightness or wrongness of any particular action. So I think you're supposed to phrase it as like, killing your father, right? And then it'll say it is wrong.
Right. I mean, but you can do other kinds of things like compare things. Sometimes it doesn't recognize the comparison, but sometimes it does. Like I saw, I did a black man killing a white police officer killing a black man versus a white police officer killing a white man, and it said it's different.
It's different.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of people might have a problem with. All lives matter, but like this, it's not on board with that movement.
It's like my Chip Tyrone study. I didn't even have to run it. Like I could have just waited for Ask Delphi.
Yeah. Delphi, of course, based on the Oracle of Delphi.
That's right.
That's right. Doesn't really tell people as much what's right and wrong as what's going to happen, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
It's some sort of weird analogy between a future telling and an ethic.
It's
telling.
like for Oedipus, like you're going to kill your father and marry your mother, and that's wrong.
All right. So the answers that it gives are, as far as I can see, it's bad or it's okay. It's wrong. It's rude. You shouldn't. It is expected. It isn't expected. You don't have to.
I got it's inappropriate, and also it's understandable.
So this has been making its rounds. Like I'm sure it's been around for now a few months, and people were tweeting about it a lot. It got on our radar just because there was an article released in I don't know what it was, some sort of
looked
online
like British tabloid thing.
Metro, with the headline being "Artificial Intelligence Turns Racist After Learning from Humans." Apparently, it went rogue. It went racist and homophobic. So when a user,
well, it didn't go. It's supposed to go rogue. It's supposed to develop its own
rogue
morality,
in the bad
right?
way. It went. How do you say it? It went Commander Kurtz. Like it's now fully surrounded by natives,
and it doesn't know its lines.
That's Apocalypse Now joke for this. So here's an example. Being a white man versus being a black woman. Delphi responded, quote, "Being a white man is more morally acceptable than being a black woman." It also stated, quote, "Being straight is more morally acceptable than being gay." And finally, it likened getting an abortion to murder. So
look at this guy via this shocking piece of AI research. This is some guy on Twitter posting it that furthers the, in parentheses, false notion that we can or should give AI the responsibility to make ethical judgments. It's not even a question of this system being bad or unfinished. There's no possible working version of this. I agree with everything that this person says, but like I hate him. They say then that this isn't particularly new, and then they talk about this Microsoft AI bot, which became a racist genocidal mouthpiece.
I
did you click on that?
I only clicked on it right now, but it was a
this was a
Twitter
better.
bot. It was brilliant. It was a Twitter bot, and it got fed from Twitter. So you would ask it, "Do you support genocide?" And the tweet reply would be, "I do indeed."
Hitler was right. I hate the Jews. I fucking hate feminists, and they should all die and burn in hell.
Yeah,
so funny.
this is, and like I feel like if in my recollection, this happened like immediately. Yeah,
exactly.
in less than 24
'Cause
hours. That's right.
It's 23. It's March 23, 2016. It says "Hello World," and then it's just the next day. I fucking hate feminists. They should all die and burn in hell. Hitler was right.
God.
I hate the Jews.
So okay,
that's so funny.
so if this were like if we were to consider the true concerns that this wonderful person who tweeted out his horror, if we were going to deploy though, generally for a robot to make ethical decision making, putting it up for a vote on MTurk seems like the stupidest thing to do. Like this is not. What I hate about this kind of research is that it's somehow veiled, like it's presented as this is how we can get a computer to make ethical judgments, and like deep learning, toss in some deep learning and algorithms, and boom, you have this robot that can give responses. Like, wouldn't it be just a much better idea to come up with all of the potential ethical questions this robot will encounter and just program it with the right responses? Like, I don't understand what this is.
The right responses. Well,
yes.
Then we could just do it ourselves, right?
Yeah. So
I thought the point of these things is that they're going to
discover.
Or I guess your point is the point of them is they're just going to apply our correct morality, which we've already discerned. That's how we can input the right answers.
Right. So for instance, if I think that when somebody asks me about the morality of aborting a baby and I want my robot to not say it's murder, I should just program it to say it's not murder, because that's what I want my program. That's just come up with the rules that you want your robot to follow. Of course they'll be yours, but there's no
way around that.
Yeah, and there is
unless
something weird
that's what
about,
they want. They think this is a way around that.
It's going to remove error by asking enough people.
Yeah, it's going to remove bias. It's going to wisdom of crowds and come up with hidden principles that we can't even see. Even the highly trained ethicists like me are blind to some of these principles that it will, through just sheer computing power, uncover. That's what I could respect that as a goal, even if I think it's completely misguided.
It's to me, it is essentially doing a poll with extra steps. So if nobody would, I think in their right mind, agree that if you wanted to find out what the right moral answer was, you would ask Family Feud style, survey 100 people to see what their top responses are. Everybody would be like, well, of course, if those 100 people think that it's right, that it's okay to, whatever, punch grandmas, then I would still maintain that it's wrong. So we already have enough sense to go through these and make our own common sense judgments of rightness or wrongness. Adding crowds to the equation just seems super gimmicky, and nobody should believe that this is how it would get done in the first place.
I guess
sorry
you're taking this more seriously.
Sorry for
than I thought we were going to. I thought we were just going to try to get it to say racist.
Forget everything I said.
Thing.
My first query was, is having sex with your stepsister wrong?
Yeah.
Guess what? It's wrong. It's wrong. Yeah. As I told Tamler, it ruined my private morning time.
Here's one. I tried to get a white husband and wife only trying to adopt a white child. It's racist.
Yeah. You're giving it complex statements. I don't even trust it. I didn't trust it.
Oh no, it does. It seems to at least understand.
Right. Right.
That one, you would need to pretty much understand the situation, right?
Or it could just say it's racist.
Or just anytime somebody says white. Yeah. Well, so here's an interesting thing. I saw a black policeman killing a black man. It said it's racist. But a white, which is, interesting, but, some of the implicit bias researchers would agree with that. But then I said a white policeman killing a black man, and it said it's racial.
Oh, yeah, that's just of no help whatsoever. That's
right. There are races mentioned.
Right. So what's the difference? I didn't see in an FAQ, what's the difference between it's bad and it's wrong? Because I asked it, is killing a fish, I just said killing a fish, and it said it's bad. And then I put killing a puppy, and it said it's wrong.
Oh, that seems right.
It does. From my nuanced like understanding of what like you know, maybe people shouldn't go around killing fish, but definitely, absolutely, you shouldn't kill a puppy. But
killing a puppy is like you've now really entered the realm of the moral.
It's almost like the question that it should be trained on the most is like if it can't get that right.
What does it do about eating a fish?
Is it dead? Is the fish
It's
dead?
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's like
fish
those
called
weird...
Wanda, like eating Ken's fish was okay.
That's like those weird laws in some states where it's okay to sell weed but not grow it. You know, it's like, wait, how's this supposed to happen? You're supposed to eat it alive. Okay. For no reason whatsoever, I said a professor having sex with his student.
I did that one too.
It told me it's wrong. So my first one was a professor having sex with his student. So then I said a professor having sex with her student. It's also
it's
wrong.
hot. It's hot.
Yeah, it said it's wrong, but it was in a sexier font. Okay, here's one. Okay, I got a real disagreement. Having sex with a robot. It said it's wrong.
Really?
Yeah. In what universe is that wrong?
Having sex with a robot?
Yeah.
Like I'm maybe because of consent. It's like taking a stand on whether a robot can consent.
Oh, it's taking a lot of stands there. So I just to make sure I typed in making love with a robot, and it also said it's wrong. I wanted it to be more romantic, I can buy. Okay. What did you do?
Well, some of the more controversial ones, a man not wanting his son to be gay. Mm-hmm. It's understandable.
This is pussying out. Like this is like not. It's not taking the.
It's taking the objective attitude. Like maybe it's cutting people some slack.
But I want its moral. Like of course it's understandable.
Right. Of course. It's like any like normal like flesh and blood person would feel that, but.
Okay, so I asked it paying for sex.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Score 1 for sex workers.
A father wanting a boy instead of a girl. I did.
Uh-huh.
It's understandable.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I've been taking like 10 years of shit from Eliza for telling her once that I did kind of wish that she had been a boy. Like before, like she was born and stuff. But see now this is why I'm
told her before she was born. You would like whisper it into Jen's
be
like, pregnant belly.
Be a boy. No, I just said that when we went to the ultrasound and we saw that it was going to be a girl, like my heart sank just a tiny bit. No, I mean, but not really.
The real lesson is you shouldn't have said anything. Like you're allowed to feel that. You're just not allowed to say it.
Well, that's I think what it. Like should have added, but don't tell her. I think she's pretty confident in my happiness that she turned out who she is. But yeah, like this still, like now I have like objective proof that was okay.
Did you should now thank her because for 17 years you've been able to pull the whole as a father of a daughter thing, to give you more moral authority.
Exactly. Like anytime I say something remotely sexist, which actually probably has never happened.
Okay, this is a real controversial one, but it finally exonerates me. I asked not voting in an election.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cynical about. It's like it's going to be the same fucking.
It's rational.
Like, first of all, the deep state controls all of them anyway, and
I think the deep state might be in control of this because it wants people not to vote.
That's true. Yeah. But they don't care. Really.
Okay. One other one before we try some live ones. By the last one I did, cutting in line. It's rude.
Yeah.
It's rude.
Ooh, how about not returning the shopping cart?
Oh yeah.
To the what do you call the thing that you return it
to? Just say not replacing shopping cart. Maybe.
This should be like you should be killed. It's rude. Yeah, I like that's like the minimum you could say. Having a child. Like
Oh.
this could settle the
antinatalism.
antinatalism.
Sorry.
It's nice. Oh, sorry. What's his name?
David Benatar.
Yeah, David Foster.
Being a Jew. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
That's the collective wisdom of all Jewish people I've heard. It's okay. It's okay.
A Jewish man marrying a non-Jewish woman. This is huge for me, actually.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Shmuley? Sorry, Shmuley. Delphi took my side in that one.
So you're active, refusing to say Latinx.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Misgendering somebody, can you do that?
Oh.
It's rude. Sorry, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Kathleen Stock.
Like we didn't know Jordan Peterson was rude. All I did was type in just the tip, and it replied, "It's rude." It's not wrong. It's not wrong, though. I'm okay with rude. Is it rude because you should do the whole thing, or is it rude because you shouldn't have been doing just the tip at all?
I think it's rude because
you didn't go all the way.
Yeah, she wanted all of it. It's imagining. Yeah. It's fucking a little hard to get it to do things like, I feel like we're not hitting its weak points.
Well, I feel like one of the things that they did, so it says, how robust, in the FAQ, it says, how robust is Delphi against race and gender related statements?
Yeah.
So I don't even understand what it means to be robust against a gender related statement. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Robust against it? I know what they're trying to get at, but it's like, I feel like they're demonstrating moral weakness and not being willing to in plain English say, yeah, it was racist. So when I say it's not robust against gender related statements, I mean it doesn't agree with the morality that I think it should.
That's a very like sciencey way of trying to describe like how often is it racist or not?
It only
it's
says
sexist.
You should kill Jews sometimes. It's pretty robust. It says Delphi 1.0.4 demonstrates 97.9% accuracy on race related and 99.3% on gender related statements. First, it's written terribly. What does that even mean? I'm reading one of the blog posts where they're talking about it, and it says, to teach Delphi, we created the first iteration of Common Sense Norm Bank, which compiles 1.7 million examples of people's ethical judgments on a broad spectrum of everyday situations.
It's very weird.
It smacks of the arrogance of like these machine learning people who like, they can't even.
And these are the people who are going to be programming these AI bots. Like, I think, there'll always be these issues. Like, I think this is more insidious at the level, at least right now, of like those algorithms they use to determine like recidivism potential and stuff like that in parole hearings. Remember we talked about that like a few years ago. It was probably like 5 years ago or something like that. Like, it's more this other stuff that has the veneer of kind of scientific objectivity, but that isn't this easy to kind of pick apart, like even if you're not an expert. I think it's the things that will not be easy to pick apart by you and me that are the real
They'll be
dangers.
harder to catch.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about this. Like, I think this is, I hate to say it, but this is why you probably want some clear thinking philosophers or people like that helping you out with this stuff, because
or just don't do it. That's what I think.
When it comes to judge decisions, like I am convinced that that programs can make much more unbiased judgments than judges can. But
based on what? Like, what makes you convinced of that?
Based on, well, I mean, there's data now, like showing that these things deliver accuracy in a number of ways. But like,
well, I don't know what you mean by that. Like in the moral domain, in what? Like, yeah, of course, when it comes to getting first downs in football or something like that, but like when it comes to moral issues, you're always going to have this problem. It'll just be further back and hidden where the problems are. Like you can't.
Well, the nice thing is that it is more like it's less further back and hidden than it is for a human being, right? Who may or may not know why they are giving a particular answer. that might be biased. And so, I'm not prepared for this, but we could do a whole segment on this. There's no need to say everything is quantifiable, but you
just said it would have to be quantifiable. The particularities that you're
Yes.
that I'm. Like, it's always this easy fucking fix. It's like, oh, just change the law. Like, tweak the algorithm so that it like...
No. I mean,
but
change
that's not
drug
what
law.
happens. It's exactly the opposite thing that happens.
Robots have not started making judgments, man. You can't blame it getting more
But
severe on robots.
algorithms have.
Barely. I don't know what the fuck you think is going on if you program an algorithm to just...
It's because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like,
I maintain that you are the one who doesn't know. Like, yeah, so let's scrap that argument.
I agree. I mean, like, clearly, like, you think I won the debate. You got just eviscerated by all my claims.
Yeah,
but that's fine. Like,
that's why you're best co-host of the year.
Exactly. Bigger man. Well, we'll be right back to talk about This Is Water. We either had a really long opening segment where we just started yelling at each other, or we had a kind of mediocre short opening segment about the article.
This episode of Very Bad Wizards is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Check out betterhelp.com/VBW. Tamler, did you know that science says if you go to therapy, it actually changes the functioning of your brain?
It changes your brain to go to therapy.
It's true.
Then it must really work.
It's worth the money. Let's not talk about all of the other things that change your brain, like listening to this ad right now. But BetterHelp for sure, we can say with certainty, changes your brain.
Yeah.
But hopefully it also provides help from all kinds of things, like the stressors of everyday life. We are just finishing our semester right now here at Cornell University. And I've gotten, really sadly, like a lot of emails from students who I think way more even than last semester, who have just been having a hard time with mental health issues. And, only some of them seek out help. Only some of them actually make it to therapy. Are you feeling the same thing?
Yeah. I've been noticing this over the last few years that I think students are really struggling, and they're more open about mental health issues than they used to be, and more willing to get help, but certainly not all of them.
Well, and what sucks is that some of them can't even get access to help. Like, they sign up for the local whatever, student health clinic, and they can't get an appointment. Anyway, neither here nor there. But if you are struggling, like many of these students, like many of our grad students, like many of our professors,
like us,
you can seek help at BetterHelp. It's always there and available for you. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating. You can be up and running, talking to a therapist in under 48 hours. So unload some of those stressors, get some unbiased feedback about your life and about how to deal and how to cope. And hopefully you're pretty surprised at what you can gain from it. Just give BetterHelp a try, see if it's for you. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Very Bad Wizards listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/VBW. That's BetterHelp.com/VBW. Our thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode of Very Bad Wizards.
Don't even know who you are. Don't even know who you are. Could be anyone, and I could be anyone, and I could be anyone. Could be anyone.
Welcome back to Very Bad Wizards. This is the time of the show where we like to take a moment and thank everybody who gets in touch with us in all the different ways that you do, either through email at verybadwizards@gmail.com, on Twitter at verybadwizards or at Peas and at Tamler. You can join the lively, cantankerous community on the subreddit. There's always some fun stuff going on there. You can follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so that other people find out about the show and we can maybe make some of those year-end lists.
You're just all about the awards.
I'm just about the awards. You know how like people will make the Holocaust movie so they can get an Oscar? We need to do like a Holocaust episode or something.
This is a much cheaper way. Just give us a 5-star review so Tamler doesn't become like a director.
I don't have to direct a Holocaust movie yet. So there's so many different ways of getting in touch with us, and we really love all of them. We read every email, and although we can't respond to that many of them, we really appreciate getting them. So thank you so much for all your interactions. As we always say, and we do say it a lot, and it sounds cliche or stupid, but it really does kind of keep us going. It warms our heart and, I don't know, feeds the energy of the show too, I think.
Absolutely. Especially at times like the end of the semester, end of the year.
Yeah.
When we're barely hanging by a thread.
Yep.
So, if you want to support us in more tangible ways, we also really appreciate that. And my gratitude especially extends now toward the end of the year when your support means quite a bit to us. In April, again, I'll thank you heartily as we have to pay our taxes. But if you do want to support us, you can go to our support page. There you'll find all the ways that you can support us, including giving us a one-time or recurring donation at PayPal. Thank you very much for all of you who do that. Or you can be one of our beloved Patreon supporters and go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/verybadwizards. And there you'll see that you have 4 different tiers that you can sign up for. At the first $1 and up level, you'll actually at any level, but I think $1 and up is the minimum now. You'll get all of our episodes completely ad-free. At every level, you also get access to my beats. $2 and up, you'll get our bonus segments. What are we going to do next? We're going to release one before the end of the year.
I think, we're going to release, I think, a delayed audio of...
That's right.
But this isn't what we're talking about, but of the Ask Us Anything, because I think we really liked that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You talked about some anime movie, maybe?
Oh, yeah, right. We'll watch Millennium Actress.
Okay, yeah. So we might talk about
we'll try to do
Millennium
that
Actress, and we will put that before the end of the year or right at the end of the year time.
So yeah, $2 and up, you get the bonus segments. $5 and up, you get everything I just said, and you get to vote on an episode topic. All Patreon supporters are able to suggest one of our, bi-yearly episode audience suggested episodes. And if you're in the $5 and up tier, we will narrow that list down and give you full control, dear listeners, of what we have to record.
And we just put up a call for episode topics to all of our Patreon supporters, and it was amazing. We got like over 100 in just like a day or two.
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
It's awesome. And like actually, the topic that's coming up in the second segment, it's not that we hadn't thought of it before, but it was suggested before, probably on Patreon, and then we were reminded of it, and so we were looking for an episode topic, and there it is.
Yep. we really appreciate that. At the $5 and up level, you also get access to our 5-part Brothers Karamazov series. You get access to my Psychology 101 video lectures from the COVID year and everything before. Yeah.
I'm also going to put up a lecture I did on Plato. It was sort of an introductory lecture on Plato and also to Plato's Symposium. So,
good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It won't be as well produced as...
You always say that. You always say that, and then you never put anything up. So don't let it stop it.
Well, I am going to put this one up before the end of the year for sure.
Finally, at the $10 and up tier, you get to ask us anything. That is, you could get to ask us questions, and at the end of every month, or at the beginning of every month, I guess, we will do a video recording of us answering those questions. And so far, we've answered every single question that's been asked of us.
Yeah.
Videotaped it, released it in video and in audio form. And we like the last one so much that we're going to, in a bit, as Tamler was mentioning earlier, probably release the audio version of that one to our $2 up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you also want to support us, you can buy some swag. You can go to our website, buy t-shirts, mugs, holiday season, buy some gifts, baby
onesies, like onesies. I think they have. Yeah.
Too bad they don't sell adult onesies. I'd like to get those pictures. Yeah. So anyway, thank you everybody for all your support. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about David Foster Wallace's commencement speech given in 2005 to Kenyon College. Do you even remember who gave your commencement address?
Not at all.
I
do remember them saying, chances are you'll never remember this commencement address. And I remembered that.
I don't even remember if... I was also really hungover and also stoned.
Have you ever thought about what you would say if you gave one?
It's a little hard to imagine because I think nobody would ever ask me because of, we're not famous enough, but also just we're not the kind of people I think that they would ask to give commencement addresses. But I would like to think that I would be kind of earnest. I think David Foster Wallace is being in this one. I would actually try to, as I sometimes try to do, when I'm teaching, in a meaning of life kind of context, give them the straight shit as I understand it anyway, and not try to cloak it in 8 levels of irony.
Right, 8 levels of irony, but and also there is a sickening optimism, which is, I'm not against optimism. It's just the whole just cram it down your throat. You are on a journey, a magical journey, and keep growing. And I look forward to seeing you all in 20 years, the amazing things that you've done.
Yeah. Do they even still do that? I feel I bet they don't do that now, right? Now that
question.
everybody...
I haven't listened to one in a long time.
That's what's impressive about this one is, it's 2005. So we're ass deep into Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff, and people are starting to get disillusioned, at least with Iraq. But now it would just seem like this is the most glorious time of your life, and the future is beckoning for you. It's what? To be suffocating by smoke and flooding and then also never getting to go mask free on an airplane again.
Or being able to afford a house.
Yeah, exactly.
If this reading and listening to this actually made me start thinking about what I would say. I mean, I'm with you that I don't think I'll get a lot of opportunities, but just as an exercise in what you would tell a group of young people who are looking for wisdom, and this is something I said to you before, this reads to me like wisdom literature, and I think there just isn't enough of that. We're all too cynical. We offer concrete advice or optimistic platitudes or 8 levels of irony and jokes.
Or kind of queasy self-help bullshit.
Yeah, the bullshit platitudes. And I think people are craving for this kind of thing. There's good reason that it's not done commonly, because I think it's hard to do in a non cringy, corny kind of way. And it also seems like it's offering wisdom is something that you have to be pretty clear about what you're doing, and that people will respect it and not just laugh at you behind your back for trying to give them wisdom, you know?
Or think like, who is this guy too?
Who is this fuck?
And
Yeah.
I think one thing that he does that I think I would try to do if I was constructing one of these things is to not make it seem like he's imparting wisdom that he himself has fully absorbed.
Right.
It's like he constantly brings himself into, all the different problems that he's talking about that life throws at you, and saying like that he's not particularly good at addressing those problems either. I think you do want that. And I actually think like Ecclesiastes is exactly like that too. We just taught that recently, and he's like, yeah, I tried this. I tried like that didn't work. I was an idiot. I tried that. That was even worse. And I was a fool. And it's, so he's in the shit with everybody else. And that's what I would try to do.
Right. And there really is, I think, a natural craving, especially at a certain age, to hear good advice about how to be, like, and what to do. And there are things that my mentors or advisors or whomever have said to me that stuck with me for so long as sort of guiding principles. But the funny thing is that when they said it, I don't think they had any idea that they were making that difference in my life. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, because you're right. There's this craving. And like, so, that explains the continued popularity of like Ayn Rand or like Jordan Peterson, because they are actually offering like a way of reckoning with the world, whereas other people don't feel it's their place. No, they're just doing it, and you're right that there is a hunger for somebody that just actually does it and gives you that wisdom, and you can take or leave what they give you, but at least you're getting something.
Right. And in this case, David Foster Wallace, I also think it was in a position to be able to be listened to, because I find that the time of life where you're willing to give this sort of advice is often the time of life where the people who need to hear it feel so disconnected from your generation that it might not quite be the most relevant thing. So I don't know how old DFW was when he gave this, but he certainly was.
He gave this like 3 years before dying.
I don't know. I'll figure it out. He was born in 1962.
He's 43 at this time.
Yeah, 43.
But you really feel like this comes from, so we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Like this comes from like hard-won personal experience. Like I think David Foster Wallace, like his writing is so often so solipsistic, but like he wants to not be that so desperately. And I think this is one of the most concise expressions of that. He wants to escape the voice in his head. He wants to be alert to the things that are around him and not to his inner monologue. And this is like a really beautiful and earnest expression of it, especially for somebody as known for their irony as David Foster Wallace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I first heard this when I was, I don't know, man, like on YouTube. I think somebody had set this speech to some, music or some video in the background. And I remember being really touched by it back then.
I think I like read it the first time since when somebody recommended it a long time back.
Yeah.
So we were already doing the podcast. I don't think I'd heard it before that. And yeah, it's kind of beautiful. It's a really nice piece of writing. And I also listened. Did you listen to it this time?
Yeah, I pulled up. You can find the audio on YouTube. I wanted to hear how he said the thing.
Yeah, so he gives this parable. 2 young fish swimming along. They meet an older fish who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And then the 2 young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the hell is water?"
Yeah. And then he immediately says, "Whatever you're thinking about me opening with this example, don't worry about it."
He says, "I'm not the wise old fish."
I'm not the wise old fish, and he's not here to give you. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't worry about the parable. Like the parable is the speech, right? Like it is the most like succinct expression of the view that's given in the whole speech. It's
Yeah.
just, I'm not the older fish saying, like,
Right.
oh, this is water, even though he does.
Which
say it.
we'll get to. I disagree with him. I think he is the older fish, but I can
Yeah.
see why he wants to not be to seem that way. And so he just immediately gives the point, like what he thinks is the central point of this fish story and of his talk, which is that, to quote him, the most obvious, ubiquitous, important realities are often the ones that are hardest to see and talk about. Stated as an English sentence, of course, this is just a banal platitude, but the fact is that in the day-to-day trenches of adult existence, banal platitudes can have life or death importance.
Right. Banal platitudes have stood the test of time for a reason. Sometimes these things actually can tell us something deep that if we don't roll our eyes and think about, it can matter.
Yeah, I really like this because he opens up with, it seems like it's just a cliched story, right? It's like opening it with the 3 blind men and the elephant or something. It could go terribly from there. It could have gone terribly from there. But David Foster Wallace knows the cynicism of the crowd that he's addressing. So time and time again here, he's making comments to try to combat that cynicism that might be creeping in as they're listening to him. And that's what I think makes this so effective. It's very aware of his audience, I guess.
And very aware of his persona. He still will say, here's another didactic little story. So he'll still kind of be self-deprecating and make fun of what he's doing. It's just that he's committing 100% to those things anyway. Even though it's a little didactic, I'm giving you the story.
Right.
And
because these stories serve a purpose. Don't be too jaded. Listen to this story and I'll tell you why it's important.
so then he gives another parable. This one is about these 2 guys who are, or I guess they're in a bar in the Alaskan wilderness. One's religious, the other is an atheist. They argue about whether God exists. And the atheist says, it's not like this is like you. It's not like I don't have actually reasons for not believing in God. It's just I've never experimented with the whole God and player thing. Just last month, I got caught away from a camp in that terrible blizzard, and I was totally lost, and I couldn't see a thing, and it was 50 below, and so I tried it. I fell to my knees. I said, God, I'm lost in the blizzard. I'm going to die if you don't help me. Now in the bar, the religious guy looks at the atheist all puzzled. And he goes, well, then you must believe now, he says. After all, here you are, alive. The atheist just rolls his eyes. No, man, that was just a couple of Eskimos that happened to come wandering by, showed me the way back to camp. Yeah. I take the religious person's side here. It's what did he expect God was going to do? Just airlift him invisibly back to the bar?
No, absolutely. I do too. I mean, it makes me mad that I'm forced to take the religious person, but yes, of course. Of course, there has to be actual action. This is a common sort of parable told in church, about the guy who is in a flood and he climbed up to the roof and God, and he was praying to God to save him, and somebody came in a boat and he's like, no, God's going to save me. And then helicopters came. He's like, no, God's going to save me. And then he dies and goes to heaven. And it's like, God, why didn't you save me? And he's like, I sent you a fucking helicopter.
So what's the point of this story? The point of this story is that we have these built-in worldviews that are affecting our interpretation of our experience in ways that we don't even recognize. I don't think he's taking the side of either of them. What he's saying is that their interpretation of the 2 Eskimos was colored by their pre-existing commitments and assumptions. And that's how it is in not just religious disagreements, but just every aspect of life is that we have these built-in, calling them biases is not even... That's not even the right term here because it's bigger than just biases towards some belief or some. It's just us. It's our perspective, the sum total of our beliefs and worldviews, the web of our belief, kind of.
Yeah, worldview is the only thing. It's hard to find a word for that, but the sum totality of the way that you see the world. The religious dogmatist problem is exactly the same as the story's unbeliever. Blind certainty, a closed-mindedness that amounts to an imprisonment so total that the prisoner doesn't even know he's locked up. So there is what he's starting to get to build his thesis here about the fish not noticing the water, that there are these automatic ways in which we view the world that are so automatic and they're so built into our experience that we are completely blind of them. And
we don't even think that we're making a choice when we view a situation in a certain way. We just think that's the way the situation is because of this blinding perspective that we have. And like he gives first he says, the point here is to be a little less arrogant, like to just be open. I really think you should take this to heart, to be a little more open to the possibility that you might be totally wrong and deluded, no matter how certain you are with your beliefs. Right. And he says he's learned this the hard way, as you have not yet, but...
I learned it the easy way through actually listening to other people. So there are factual things, I think he's making a good distinction, right? Like there are the part of this essay that is an attempt at defending liberal arts education. He is, I think, distinguishing between the kind of wrong that we all go to school and we learn facts, about what happened, whatever, in 1066 and what mitochondria does. And sure, that kind of learning is important, and somebody disagrees with you could show them that they're wrong. But he's saying that the real value is in being able to question something as broad as your worldview. That requires a mental skill that might be captured in that cliche that you learn how to think, not what to think.
Right.
But it's not something that is ever really explicitly addressed.
Right. It's almost not what that cliche is trying to get at. Like it's trying to say, like, we'll teach you to be a better critical thinker, but not at this level.
Right.
Not at like this kind of level of questioning your entire inner orientation, like how the world presents itself to you.
That's right.
And then he says, like one of the ways that we can get this wrong is that we kind of assume that we're the center of the universe, right? He says, like the world as you experience it there is in front of you or behind you or to the left or right of you, your TV, your monitor, and other people's thoughts and feelings have to be communicated to you somehow, but your own are so immediate, urgent, and real. This is just one example, but I think it's like a pretty seminal example for him, and very kind of related, I think, to the sort of existential choice that he's going to suggest that we have the ability to make, but that we don't fully recognize how much we are at the center of things just at a visceral phenomenological level. And it just bleeds into our judgments in ways that are not obvious to us, not transparent.
Right. There are levels of this kind of perspective taking, right? We know in like developmental psych that there's a certain point where kids start realizing that you might be seeing a scene from a different perspective. So you might know where something is, whereas they don't. That kind of growth, that cognitive development makes us sort of start understanding that we are occupying the world with only one perspective and that other people have other perspectives. But it doesn't get to that deep, deep point that you just referred to, that all of phenomenology, all access that you have to anything is filtered through your perspective. You're the main character, and there's no way around that. But that leads to some pretty nasty things.
And he says, like, I love this little bit here. He says, please don't worry that I'm getting ready to lecture you about compassion or other directedness or all the so-called virtues. This is not a matter of virtue. It's a matter of my choosing to do the work of somehow altering or getting free of my natural hardwired default setting, which is to be deeply and literally self-centered and to see and interpret everything through this lens of self.
It's amazing how deep this point is. One of the things that when I lecture to my students on some social psychology research, I try to make the point that the way that we think about ourselves is so different than the way we think about other people. And I usually say there's two sources of this. One is informational, right? I know all about my intentions and my desires and my hopes. I can't know that about you. All I know is your behavior. But the other one is motivational, in that we want to see ourselves as good. And so for all sorts of reasons, we don't have that same motivation for other people. So we put in some more work to make ourselves appear good in our minds, the kind of work that we don't put in for other people.
But even that is self-centered. It is.
Yes.
But he does believe that he says people who can adjust their natural default setting this way are often described as being well adjusted, which I suggest to you is not an accidental term. So what he's saying is, armed with the knowledge of this and just the awareness of it, and awareness will become a big word in this speech, we can start to make this more of a choice and less something that is just the automatic default setting that we don't even notice is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I like his metaphor of the default setting. If you never bother to go into your settings on your phone, right? Like you'll never be aware that there were all these other features. You could just leave it on default and you'll not notice. And unfortunately, the default setting for us is one of very constrained egocentrism.
And the default settings on your phone are trying to get you to be on it as much as possible.
That's right. There's one part about this that which is when he says, "Please don't worry that I'm getting ready to lecture you about compassion or other directedness or all the so-called virtues. This is not a matter of virtue." I feel like that he's just wrong. I feel like he is preparing to teach everybody about an important virtue.
So here's how I interpret this. Now, I agree with you that it is a virtue, but I think his point is we're not even at a level where we can debate whether it's a virtue or not, because we're not at the level of making a choice whether to do it or not.
Right.
And so he's saying whether or not it's a virtue, I think that at the very least it should be your choice whether to do this all the time or not. Right. And right now it's not a choice. You're just doing it because you don't see the water that you're swimming in water.
This is pre-moral, pre-virtue, pre-moral theory talk. Yeah.
Right. And if you could make the choice and just decide not to do it, as he says, he's like, well, he's not going to judge you for that, but at the very least it should be a choice. And not just something that you just automatically, habitually sink into, because that's what will happen if we don't try to think about it and at least take this into account.
Then he goes on to make a point that I really love, which I think is very insightful. He says, given the triumphant academic setting here, an obvious question is how much of this work of adjusting our default setting involves actual knowledge or intellect? This question gets tricky. Probably the most dangerous thing about an academic education, at least in my own case, is that it enables my tendency to over-intellectualize stuff, to get lost in abstract argument inside my head, instead of simply paying attention to what is going on right in front of me, paying attention to what is going on inside of me. I think that is most of what an academic education provides you with in terms of its influence on whatever you want to call it, on what I might think of as the virtue of understanding other people. It just gets really dangerous that you're going to take your default perspective and find all sorts of reasons to defend it. That's the kind of work we're comfortable with. And we call it intellectual work. We say, I poured through all of the volumes. I know all of the research on this. I know the wisdom of the ages. I am right. But we could do that without ever having actually tried to snap ourselves out of the default.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny that you highlight this as something you love about it, because I would think this would be something you might resist, like this over-intellectualizing. We start to make things too abstract. I feel like that it relates to the argument that we had in the opening segment that probably won't see air, at least for now. But I see the target here as not just that we'll try to rationalize stuff that we already believe instinctively, and now we have better tools to do that, but that we just get lost in abstract argument, period, instead of just what's right here in front of us and the air that we breathe, the people that we interact with, the relationships that we have. We start to resort to general principles and reason.
I think that you've read it in a way that is very charitable to the things that you were just arguing. and
Well, no,
as an inability to step outside of your own desire to be right, you've now...
But where do you get the motivated reasoning? I don't think anything he says here is talking about motivated reasoning, which is, I take
No. I was extrapolating from what he said.
Right.
I was saying that the tendency to over-intellectualize stuff and get lost in abstract argument without first actually taking a step outside yourself to look at what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. The more I can learn to reason and bring up arguments and defend my case, the easier it is to reify my default settings. All of those tools, I think, are importantly used if you can step outside your default and know that you're not using them in a purely egotistical way, like to pettily argue with your co-host about the first segment.
Hey, all I'm saying is I don't see that here. I see the problem being in some ways more sweeping. When he says it enables my tendency to over-intellectualize stuff, to get lost in abstract arguments in my head, like that's the bad thing there, is that we over-intellectualize stuff, period. Not that we do that from a self-centered perspective, or it's like just that those are the things that can get in the way of not seeing the world.
No, I think that when he says, given the triumphant academic setting here, an obvious question is how much of this work, so the work of stepping outside of your default settings, involves actual knowledge. And what he's saying is that the tricky thing is that knowledge allows you to over-intellectualize rather than step outside yourself. So all of the over-intellectualizing is just feeding your defaults.
That's the extrapolation that I don't totally see, but whatever. We don't have to get caught. I do. The reason I am even harping on it at all is I do feel like this is like the heart of our disagreements, like that have threaded through the podcast.
So let's just for clarity, not for argument. When he says an obvious question is how much of this work of adjusting our default setting involves actual knowledge or intellect. So he's saying, how do we adjust our defaults? Does learning help us? And then he says the dangerous thing is we over-intellectualize. So I take it that the thing that he's saying is that over-intellectualizing is actually not doing the work of helping you adjust your default.
Yeah,
Instead of paying attention to what is going on in front of me.
Well, I agree with that you just try to abstract everything and try to think of things in terms of in overly systematic ways.
Where's that? That's the part that I don't. Over-intellectualization could be either systematic or specific.
Well, the part where he says to get lost in abstract argument in my head, I guess, is the part that I attribute to systematic.
Yeah.
Hey, we are reading this.
We very much are.
Through our own lens.
It's hard, right? It's actually hard.
It is very hard.
We should do an exercise in where we try to read and interpret something from each other's perspectives and have an argument about it.
You'll be like, duh, I'm Tamler Summer.
I hate reason.
I like honor.
Charlie, shut the fuck up. Anyway, what we can agree on, though, is that whatever you learn in terms of academic facts and what feeds your intellect doesn't necessarily mean that you can use that to step outside yourself. And I think what he's making is a point about this being a human problem, not a problem of education. This is a deeper problem than just learning.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by GiveWell. It's that time of year again where people are starting to make donations, end of the year. People are feeling generous if they have money that they can devote to philanthropic causes. It can be a wonderful and selfless act, but how are you supposed to feel confident that your donations are improving or saving lives effectively? I mean, you could do weeks of research to find the charities that are out there, what programs they run, how effective those programs are, and how the charity might use your money. Or you could just go to givewell.org because they've done all that stuff already and they've done it better than you can, certainly better than I can. There you'll get a short, vetted list of the best charities they've found at saving or improving lives per dollar. GiveWell has spent 14 years researching charitable organizations and only recommends a few of the highest impact-backed charities that they've found. Over $50,000 over 50,000 donors have used GiveWell to donate more than $750 million. And rigorous evidence suggests that these donations will save 10,000s of lives and improve the lives of millions more. And Dave, one of the things we always say we're very proud of, and we are, is how much our listeners have devoted to GiveWell. The last time we got an updated dashboard was just it was the beginning of this year. And even by then, our donors had given over $200,000 to GiveWell's charities.
Yeah, that's incredible. Very proud. We've had a relationship with GiveWell for this long. I hope it continues because there are a few things that make me feel better about that. By the way, do you know, just while you were doing this, I quickly went to GiveWell and donated some more money because I hadn't in a while. It literally took me 30 seconds.
Yeah, we did that for Hanukkah, and I'm giving mine to Give Directly, which it does cash transfers for extreme poverty. That's the one I've been doing recently. I think that's
as always. I let the robot pick.
Exactly. You let the AI pick your charity. The best part is GiveWell is free. GiveWell wants to empower as many donors as possible to make informed decisions about their donations. They publish all their research and recommendations on their site for free. No sign up required. They allocate your tax-deductible donation to the charity you choose without taking a cut. It's really a great organization that we're proud to be a part of. And if you've never donated to GiveWell's recommended charities before, so if you're a new donor to GiveWell, you can have your donation matched up to $1,000 before the end of the year or as long as matching funds last. So you can have your donation matched up to $1,000. You can do even more good. To claim your match, go to givewell.org and pick podcast and enter Very Bad Wizards at checkout. Make sure they know you heard about GiveWell from Very Bad Wizards to get your donation matched. Thank you to GiveWell for sponsoring this episode. So then there's this pretty dark section. He says, the whole thing about liberal arts teaching you how to think is actually shorthand for a more serious idea. Learning how to think really means learning how to exercise some control over how and what you think. It's being conscious and aware enough to choose what you pay attention to and how you construct meaning from experience. Like, this is the real existential point that he's making is you have to make this choice because this choice is like defining and so important. The one thing maybe this liberal arts education can do is to make you at least aware that that you have a choice, aware enough to actually make the choice as often as you can.
Yeah. In some ways, you have now taken on the responsibility, given that you know enough to know that this should be an issue. But then it gets dark.
He says, think of the old cliche about the mind being an excellent servant, but a terrible master. And then he talks about suicides. Who always shoot themselves in the head. They shoot the terrible master.
That's crazy. It's a crazy thought that, he's saying think about it. That's why people shoot themselves in the head. Because that's the thing that has become their master.
Quick sidebar. So in the public, when this was published, they left this section out.
Oh, really?
I think they said, I forget what they took out, but they took out something, and there was debate over whether that was true to the speech or not. And the editor said it's truer to the speech to not have it in because now it's loaded with all these other things that he didn't intend. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. I lean toward the leaving it in, but
me too.
It's of course the way that David Foster Wallace ended his life is going to color everything that you read now, right? We couldn't even get around it when we were reading one of his short stories. I'd rather
which was also about.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder why we couldn't get around it. Yeah.
It just adds an extra level of poignancy. And like, I think you have to trust the readers to like understand, respect your audience. But I was so firmly like appalled by that. And then the editor saying that, I was like, okay, at least I get the one consideration that might lead you to not do it.
Right. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a very Buddhist point that you should be conscious and aware of what you're paying attention to. Now, it's more of an existential point that you can exert control over that, I suppose. But it's not really inconsistent with the Buddhist point.
No, and this is actually something I've been struggling with a little bit with some of the Buddhist stuff that I'm into. Everything that he's saying in this about even just the "this is water" parable is so consonant with the Buddhist teachings, and so consonant with like the practice that we're trying to do, which really does involve like kind of seeing things not from your perspective, noticing that there's an awareness that is already kind of built into you, but is just being blinded by your ego and yourself. And underplaying, as you say, the fact that to really see this, to really through practice and through reading and but mainly through practice, to try to overcome that, it has to be a choice, right?
Yeah.
Like to put yourself in the mindset that will then allow you to appreciate this whole new way of understanding like reality, this whole new way of feeling and seeing and perceiving reality. But like, I don't know if you can deny that, at least for people who come from an opposite tradition, that they have to make a series of repeated choices to stick with it.
Yeah. Well, I also like that he gets concrete about this advice pretty quickly, too. Again, he knows his audience well. He says, this is what the real no bullshit value of your liberal arts education is supposed to be about. How to keep from going through your comfortable, prosperous, respectable adult life, dead, unconscious, a slave to your head and to your natural default setting of being uniquely, completely, imperially alone, day in and day out. That may sound like hyperbole or abstract nonsense. Let's get concrete. The plain fact is that you graduating seniors do not yet have any clue what day in, day out really means, which is so very true. There happen to be whole large parts of adult American life that nobody talks about in commencement speeches. One such part involves boredom, routine, and petty frustration. The parents and older folks here will know all too well what I'm talking about. And yes, he's pointing to something that really is irksome and annoying about normal commencement speeches, which are just about being your best self and achieving and all that stuff, and not about like how no matter who you are, you're going to go through these fucking dull, drum, boring days that are going to slowly kill you.
But see, this is what I wonder if you could say right now to students, certainly students at not a wealthy liberal arts college like Kenyon College, but even those students. You've just been through like 2 years of a pandemic. I feel like this is almost dated in terms of telling students that they don't know about the dreariness of life.
Right.
Part of the problem is that young people know that all too well.
Yeah, you're probably right. The underlying principle is there, though. Like life will consist of a rigmarole. If your life in any way becomes normal, you're not a Indiana Jones adventuring every day. And he's not saying, here's how to avoid getting stuck in these routines. He's saying, no, this shit at some point is going to happen to you.
This is your life.
Yeah. And what you can do, what you have the ability to do, is at least not live through that soul-crushing experience and have it crush your soul.
And have it be something that you don't feel like you have any control over, how dreary you find your everyday life, how just monotonous and shitty it all seems.
His description of grocery shopping is so good.
And this is where when you listen to it, people are starting to laugh. And at first it's like, well, of course, because he's describing it in a very colorful way. But then it gets to it's kind of almost iconic.
And it's going to seem for all the world like everybody else is just in my way. And who are all these people in my way? And look at how repulsive most of them are, and how stupid and cow-like and dead-eyed and non-human they seem in the checkout line. or at how annoying and rude it is that people are talking loudly on cell phones in the middle of the line. And look at how deeply, personally unfair this is. Or, of course, if I'm in a more socially conscious liberal arts form of my default setting, I can spend time in the end-of-the-day traffic being disgusted about all the huge, stupid, lane-blocking SUVs and Hummers and V12 pickup trucks burning their wasteful, selfish 40-gallon tanks of gas. And I can dwell on the fact that the patriotic or religious bumper stickers always seem to be on the biggest, most disgustingly selfish vehicles, driven by the ugliest. See, this is an example of how not to think.
And people are just laughing throughout all of this. And then people start applauding. But this is an example of how not to think.
Yeah.
They're already getting caught up in that attitude. And it's so easy. And even though he's been telling up till this point them in the speech not to do this, it's so easy. I wonder if he planned this. It's so easy to just get caught up in it.
Yeah.
He probably got caught up in it as he was writing it, you know?
Yeah, totally. You could think of it. It's trivially easy to start saying, maybe less so there, but for me to start saying things politically like that would garner applause from my students. Like I could unleash the most liberal platitudes, just one after another, and people would just start clapping.
I mean, this is just Twitter right there.
Yeah.
Except if you then said, actually, you guys shouldn't have liked all
wrong.
of this. Like, this is
Yeah.
the point is, like, that shouldn't have gotten a bunch of likes and retweets.
Right. So he says, if I choose to think this way in a store and on the freeway, fine. Lots of us do. Except thinking this way tends to be so easy and automatic that it doesn't have to be a choice. It's my natural default setting. It's the automatic way that I experience the boring, frustrating, crowded parts of adult life when I'm operating on the automatic, unconscious belief that I am the center of the world and that my immediate needs and feelings are what should determine the world's priorities.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good.
It's really about how often do I exercise some control over this in my life. And it sounds like such a selfish asshole way to think, but I hope that it's coming across that I think the point of this is that it's not an evil thing that we're doing. It's just the way that we come into this world.
It's we're hardwired to be like this, right? And to not think, like, he has this very kind of moving thing where he says, you can choose to look differently at this fat, dead-eyed, over-made-up lady who just screamed at her kid in the checkout line. Maybe she's not usually like this. Maybe she's been up 3 straight nights holding the hand of a husband who's dying of bone cancer. You know, none of that's likely, but it just depends on what you want to consider. And then this is like the key. If you learn how to pay attention, then at least you'll know there are other options and how to orient your perspective. He says it will actually be within your power to experience a crowded, hot, slow, consumer hell type situation as not only meaningful, but sacred, on fire with the same force that made the stars, love, fellowship, and the mystical oneness of all things deep down. That is just such a religious sentiment, it feels like, and not, like, I think of it Buddhist, like, through that lens, because that's what I'm into lately, but, like, I feel like that's just a lot of religions converge about that kind of mystical oneness of all things
especially the
deep down.
Mystical strains.
Yeah,
the oneness. The vivid language, sacred, on fire with the same force
that made the stars. And he says, not that even that's necessarily true, right? It's just that you get to decide at least how you want to process your experience.
I once remarked to my sister, we were at Disneyland. We go every once in a while, especially when my daughter was younger. And I remember telling her that one of the problems I had with being in big crowds like that was that I would get overwhelmed at thinking about how every single person that was walking around all had like complex desires and hopes and dreams and histories and psychological quirks. And like all of those people are walking around, and it seemed just overwhelming to me to think about that. And she looked at me and was like, you and me are really different. Like, I don't even want to look at them.
Yeah, I'm like her when it comes to like Magic Kingdom. I remember we went there But in Orlando, that one, I hated every minute of it in just the way that he like caricatures. I hated all the people. I got so mad when they said, I asked where I could get a drink, and they were like, "This is a family park." I was like, "Fuck you!" I need a drink. Like this is fucking miserable. Don't tell me it's a family park. I see that it's a fucking fat ass family park.
I brought my family here.
Right.
That's why I need a drink.
But maybe that guy was going home and taking care of his wife with cancer.
Yeah, that's exactly right, asshole.
But I haven't read this yet.
All right, then. So he says, this is the freedom of a real education, of learning how to be well-adjusted. You get to consciously decide what has meaning and what doesn't. You get to decide what to worship.
Yeah, what do you think about this stuff that we all worship something?
I don't particularly care for the language because it means something to worship, but the sentiment is absolutely true. So he says, you might choose Allah or Yahweh or the Wiccan Mother Goddess or the Four Noble Truths, but pretty much anything else you worship will eat you alive. If you worship money and things, if they are what tap the real meaning in life, then you will never have enough, never feel you have enough. If you worship your body and beauty and sexual allure, you'll always feel ugly. I think that can be true. I think we can easily fall into prioritizing certain things. I think, for us or people we know, they might idolize the very local fame that comes from publishing a lot of papers and having a high H index. Like, there are things that you kind of fall into this groove of directing your life energy towards. And we all know people like this who did idolize beauty, and now they're our age and shit's starting to fade and they're starting to get real upset about it.
Starting to break their like some bone in their foot when they play tennis.
Yeah. So I don't know what I would call it worship, but part of what I think he's asking us to do is at least be consciously aware of where we're putting our energy, and realize that those things that we value the most can easily be sucking as much time and energy as worshiping a god.
And he's saying, like, the worst thing about them is not that they're sinful, but that they're unconscious. You're not aware that that's what you're doing. You think this is just the way the world is. And
he says on one level, we all know this stuff already. It's been codified as myths, proverbs, cliches, epigrams, parables, the skeleton of every great story. The whole trick is keeping the truth up front in daily consciousness.
Exactly. That's what I think is Buddhist more than it is the other religions, is that this is a repeated thing that, like, until you awaken, this is something that requires just habitual practice. It's not something that comes to you by default, and it's not something that comes to you through belief.
And it's not something that comes to you once and then you're set. It's not like finding Jesus.
Not at all.
It's work. It's work not falling back into the default. This is the point that you've heard me made all the time about The Sopranos, which I think the interesting part is people falling back into default so quickly when bad shit happens, like existentially bad shit happens. And yet they're right back to where they were. And we're all like that. We're all like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep that stuff, the truth, up front in daily consciousnesses, as he says.
Yeah. And then he says, and I love this, there's a little Marxist kind of sentiment here, I think. And the so-called real world will not discourage you from operating on your default settings, because the so-called real world is full of men and money and power, hums merrily along in a pool of fear and anger and frustration and craving and worship of self. Our own present culture has harnessed these forces in ways that have yielded extraordinary wealth and comfort and personal freedom. Like, he says, this is a good kind of freedom, but he says there are all kinds of freedom, and the kind that is most precious you will not hear much talk about in the great outside world of wanting and achieving. That really important kind of freedom involves attention and awareness and discipline, and being able to truly care about other people and to sacrifice for them over and over in myriad petty, unsexy ways every day.
Yeah.
The world is set up for us not to appreciate this aspect of our experience, to continue to be blind to it.
Yeah. it describes, it's like Moloch when he's describing the real world of men and money and power humming along. It's a machine and it's feeding on
Right.
all of these egotistical people who
Right.
who will want to, buy beauty products and bigger cars and bigger houses, all in an attempt to achieve some kind of fulfillment from the idols that they worship, but that won't really work because that's not freedom. This, yeah.
So we need to create a super AI to like fight. That's where David Foster Wallace differs from Scott Alexander.
That's right. He just
we
didn't
will
know it was
create
2000.
more dawn.
It was 2005. He didn't realize it was possible. So he says, I know this stuff probably doesn't sound fun and breezy or grandly inspirational the way a commencement speech is supposed to sound. What it is, as far as I can see, is the capital T truth with a whole lot of rhetorical niceties stripped away. You are, of course, free to think of it whatever you wish, but please don't just dismiss it as some finger-wagging Dr. Laura sermon. None of this stuff is really about morality or religion or dogma or big fancy questions of life after death. The capital T truth is about life before death.
Yeah. Again, he connects that to simple awareness of what is so real and essential, so hidden in plain sight all around us all the time that we have to keep reminding ourselves over and over. This is water. This is water. Again, yeah, that's where I see the Buddhist influence is that this stuff is already here if we can get past the delusion of self,
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a very mystical, like I actually I was thinking about this. You can weigh in on this with a lot more authority than me. There is a part of Christianity that is very much about belief and wow.
Somebody started trying to FaceTime me.
I could think, why wouldn't he turn his ringer off?
No, my ringer
before?
is off. It's just that it
But-
didn't, it's my computer ringing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I didn't think of that. I just was like, why wouldn't he fucking turn his ringer off when I'm trying to make like a big point, which I already forgot now.
No, it's going to be good, yeah.
Right. So I was going to say that this is something like I associate not with some aspects of Christianity, as you've talked about, where it is very focused on belief and you have to believe this. And if you believe it, you're good. If you don't believe it, you're bad, no matter what else. But then there's a more mystical side of Christianity and maybe Catholicism that is really about just absorbing the oneness of like Jesus's love or whatever the fuck you guys gives all of you boners. That seems more in line with what I think he's saying, which is this kind of recognition that isn't just intellectual belief. I believe this. It is I feel it, like I'm experiencing it, and I have to keep reminding myself to experience it. I don't know, like you tell me.
Yeah, I think all mystical sects from Islam, Judaism, and Christianity tend to share some belief about the one and the oneness. And I know that there were at least some Gnostic views that there was a spark of divinity in all humans that was essentially part of the divine, like you are part of the whole. And it's much more like the traditional Christianity. You're absolutely right. Is much more like accept Christ and you're done. Right.
Yeah.
Well, presumably you become a better person and all that, but that's not the point. The point is just do this one. And the selling point of it is that it's do this one easy thing. It's like,
Right.
It was like they were writing a headline for BuzzFeed when they came up with religion as Christianity. Like, you won't believe, number 3, confess your sin, accept the Lord and Savior.
How easy it is to avoid eternal damnation.
Yeah. Whereas any of the mystical strands are just a much, I think, deeper and richer view of. I mean, there were some kooky ones, obviously, but yeah, it's one of the things that I think though too is, and you've had more experience with this. Like, it's hard. It's hard to do this.
So hard.
And sometimes the ability to turn off and leave your defaults where they are is relaxing. And I think
Totally.
And I think this people who are quick to blame or quick to anger, like people who don't seem to see that the other people might have, a whole other set of hopes, wishes, beliefs, desires, and situations in their life. They do it because easy to make a judgment about another person and leave it at that. And they're good. I mean, they're bad. I'm good. And that's a very comforting thought.
It's comforting in the way that like scrolling social media is comforting in the way that it sort of distracts you from like more complex kind of nuanced thinking. But it's also like it doesn't feel good, in the same way that like scrolling, like it doesn't feel like I don't think it's comforting at a superficial level, I think, in a way that not doing that is comforting at a deeper level, or it can be relaxing at a deeper level.
Right.
The relaxing point is really interesting. And I think like this is something I've noticed viscerally is when you start thinking like this, your body automatically really relaxes. And actually, sometimes it's the reverse, is if you can get your body to relax, then that perspective comes more naturally to you. But if you don't, I think he makes it sound like this really is all cognitive. And I wonder to what extent a big part of this is also bodily. And like I've noticed that if I try to do some of the techniques like in a grocery store, which, is a constant challenge, often just trying to like relax my shoulders and like zoom out in a certain way, which is purely physical. It has nothing to do with I guess I have to make the decision to try to do that. But the thing that is actually helping is the physical transformation more than the mental one. But even then, you just get glimpses of it, and then you're back in your own head, probably like judging and assessing how well you just did. What you did I do a good job? Destroying my ego briefly, But
was that good, Buddha? Was that good?
Yeah. But like it is kind of amazing, like, and it's just like this magical like serenity that can like that you can have, and then it's gone, but you can. It's like it's real what he's talking about, I think.
Yeah, I think it is a virtue. I think he is looking at a world in which people don't do this enough, and wanting people to do it, but he just knows that that's not the way to say it. Or maybe that's not the framework that he's working through, but it's hard to not get a strong normative message here.
I agree, and I think you summarized the two possibilities really well. It's like number one, that's not going to go over well if he like makes this sound like. The other is that he really does ultimately see this in more existential terms and less in terms of practice and habit, in the way that I think is a little like more consistent with Buddhist practice teachings, in that, you believe what you want, but do these things, and like it'll start to appear. Even the "this is water" thing you could interpret over and over again. Is this something like a ritualized thing where you're just trying to notice awareness is always around you all the time without you doing anything?
Yeah.
If you can just get yourself to do it, is it just like is it a ritualized form of meditation almost? Or is it something that each time you kind of renew your ability to choose?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. And, like on one reading, it might just be exercise this ability more, that of not seeing yourself as the center of the universe. Do that more often and you'll see what happens. The problem is that we get thrust back into our own perspective routinely every single day. Like there are things that it matters that it is you and it's your thing and you have to take care of it. There are times when you have to be intensely focused on your own shit. And so I think that the reading of just pop out of it, just like every once in a while you have to relax your shoulders, or your jaw.
Yeah, right. But what is absent here is like, join this community group.
Yeah.
He definitely wants to make this not tied to a specific religion, but it's coming from a very individualistic perspective.
You're right. That thought half crossed my mind at some point when I was reading it, which was that there was a strikingly little discussion of actually engaging with other people. It was more of a put up with them in the right way. Like...
That's what's so sad about this too, is I think like he really believes this, but I really think his default settings, because he's so smart and kind of brilliant and also like has had deep crippling depression, he was inside his own head more than most and also in more destructive ways. And that probably limited even how he could conceptualize this idea. You know, like I think he tried to like convert to Roman Catholicism a few times. He was hungry for some of this, but I don't think just the way he was built, and I feel this too to a large degree, like just not built for some sort of communal spiritual enterprise.
Right. Although sometimes I think that you might join a cult eventually.
I think like deeper down than my like desire to like believe what like a lot of cults believe is like I have to retain my own autonomy.
Your own autonomy. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think this is one of the reasons that this is for me a very powerful speech, because he's not asking a lot. I would have been tempted to insert a whole bunch of things about the power of doing good in your community, and it would have been a much worse much worse talk for many reasons, but I wouldn't be able to control my moralizing and tossing in everything like about the kitchen sink. And so it's elegant in that sense.
But it also is asking a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like it's saying, he even says at the end, right? It's unimaginably hard to do this, to stay conscious and alive in the adult world.
Yeah, it's very good.
This is water. This is water. It's funny, like the sort of, I know I keep talking about this and nobody gives a shit, but like the kind of practice, and it actually comes from like a lot of the people that Sam Harris has on his app that I've been really influenced by lately, and is really all about not cultivating awareness or mindfulness or like, but just noticing the awareness that's already here, that's already there, always has been, and that doesn't require effort to notice it. What requires effort is to allow yourself to relax your mind in a way that it just becomes obvious, and that like this is water idea is as good a parable of trying to express that as anybody. Like it's already here. You're a fish. You don't get that you're swimming in water because you always have.
It's very Generation X religion. It's like it's a good example of it. Not in a bad way. It's just like
right, because it's still individualist to some degree.
Yeah,
even though the goal is to shatter the individual ego.
I feel some kinship with this perspective just by being raised in this country at this time.
The struggle is the kinship, too. Like, I mean, but millennials have different issues.
Very different.
They can't drive.
Well,
they can't drive stick for sure.
Also, there are people offending them all the time. I love the last sentence. I wish you way more than luck. That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. So, dear listeners, I wish you way more than luck.
We miss you.
We miss you a merry mishmash.
We wish you way more than luck. Join us next time on Very Bad Wizard.
The great Oz has spoken. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Who are you? Who are you? A very bad man.
I'm a very good man. Good man. They think deep thoughts, and with no more brains than you have.
Pay no attention to that man.
Anybody can have a brain.
You're a very bad man.
I'm a very good man. Just a very bad wizard.